Sorry, the Masters tournament started in the background. Net and Heather, where are you? All right, perfect. Okay, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday night. Welcome to Shredders Unite, our biz call. I am so excited this evening to introduce Pamela Christensen. Pamela Christensen is a health professional, health and wellness professional who has an amazing background, wonderful experience, but most importantly is that she has jumped on sharing her success and has literally become a crystal executive, which is literally the top rank that you could achieve within the context of how our company is organized. And we'll get into the details, how that happened and all that. But first of all, let me welcome Pamela Christensen. Pamela, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much. Great to be here. Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly. Fantastic.
Wonderful.
You look wonderful. So for those that do not know Pamela, Pamela is a health and wellness professional. She is best known currently in working with people regarding their digestive issues. And she's helped many of you that are in fact on this call tonight, I believe. But because of her patience and the experience she had with those individuals that were already using our products, the intermittent nutritional fast, Isagenix, as well as doing the ER shred, she was able to get a bird's eye view, or from a health professional standpoint, really to take a look under the hood and see what's happening with their blood work. And as a result, she got excited and she wanted to give this a try. So I want to introduce her from a standpoint of, you grew up in South Africa, you started very early on with nutrition, you were pre-med in college, you ended up getting more involved in therapy, and I'll ask you about that as far as from your actual college degree, but you quickly went on to becoming an expert in analyzing blood and working with digestion. And that was partly through your experience, my understanding is, but also we'll just ask how it started. So Pamela, without further ado, welcome to our call. And I am so excited. I mean, you're Crystal Executive, congratulations. But let me do this from the very beginning. We were talking earlier tonight, and you shared a really cool story, but how it was your mother's involvement with how you literally initially got interested or were exposed to nutrition.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to correct you. I didn't really grow up in South Africa because I didn't really grow up, but they tried really hard there. So I also talk like this. That explains why I do this every now and again. But yeah, I grew up in South Africa, and my parents worked with the Zulus and the Sutus, and one of their things to do was to give you the prize chicken. And so we had the prize chicken. I was about 6 and would play in the pen with the chicken, and came home from school one day. When the chicken grows up, they would come and butcher it and prepare it for you. That was part of the gift. And so my chicken was hopping around without a head, and I told my mom I would never eat chicken again, and had a similar experience at a Zulu wedding where they literally killed the fatted calf, and I heard it moaning for a day. So my mom insisted that I learn about nutrition so that I could guarantee to her that I was getting all the protein that I needed. So as a teenager, I studied a lot about food combining, protein, nutrition. Then through college, I did an internship with the South African Medical Research Institute. I came back from the States to do that, and all of the projects were on gut health and nutrition. So it's kind of interesting how life finds you sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of my background. I've always, as a mother, I always want my kids to be well. And even though I went into rehabilitation counseling, I was working with people with wellness issues and directing their care. So always looking for solutions and working with nutrition. And I had discovered another network marketing company that I was pretty excited about, that I made a full-time income. I was able to be there with my kids all those years. And so those who don't like network marketing, even my daughter has had her opinions, because that's kind of what goes around, but it really afforded them the life that they had. And I was able to drive them to all their events while I was on calls. My son is now one of Tony Robbins's coaching guys, directs that program. And so he was able to pick up from me that selling is not selling, it's really caring for people. And anybody can do that that has a heart. And so, you know, as you'll see and you hear my story, if Pam can do it, anybody can do it. So if you are excited about the products and you have a heart and want to help others, I'm blown away that I was able to make Crystal executive so quickly, just sharing what I love with people that I love and truly care about. And as some of you on the call are noticing, the products work, right? So, and there's a money back guarantee. So it's kind of a win-win for me. But going on with some of my story, I think you're wanting, how did I get around to all of this? Again, I always was fascinated with nutrition, what products that work, was able to help a lot of people with gut issues. My dad had Crohn's and I was caregiver, so I learned a lot about the gut that way. My brother is an internal medicine doctor and would refer his people to me. I have several doctors that would refer people to me. But that company didn't stay network marketing, as Kathy Coover discovered in her journey, right? She had several companies that she went with, and they also didn't keep up with the cutting edge.
So there's a couple different avenues here that I'm definitely going to explore with you.
Okay.
Obviously, we're in a unique position because you were successful in another company and you have the ability to have a compare contrast from a standpoint of business models, but also what you learned then and how maybe you're taking some of that skill set and you're applying it to ER Shredder, to Isagenix. The other aspect is getting back, and I want to get the health stuff out of the way first, and then we can dive really into the business.
One more thing along that line.
Sure.
So that company didn't really keep up with the cutting edge. And when Isagenix found me, I was formulating my own product because I wanted the best, the most fantastic, the cleanest, organic products that work, not just a pretty bottle, as so many are. And when you're formulating a product, you find out very quickly that products can look pretty, but it's what happens in the body. And so that's when COVID hit and the inspectors weren't able to get on the line. And one of my clients was using Isagenix. And I said, do you have any greens? So I need some for my clients, because when I do the live blood, a lot of people, when you're imbalanced, the blood is super clumped, and a good greens product will oxygenate quickly so that I can at least see what the cells look like and what the story in the blood is.
So why don't you start right there? Who is it okay? I mean, I hope I'm not violating HIPAA rules, but since we're all on Isagenix, who shared Isagenix with you? What patient that brought it to your attention?
My dear friend, Michelle Frere. We've been friends over time, and she'd been sharing with me, and I hadn't really wanted to take a look because I was formulating my own product. But when she came to me and I actually saw, you know, as I helped her with some digestion, there are some pieces that can prep people to even have better results with Isagenix. And so we can get into that if you'd like, but I was working with her on that, and she was so excited to be able to get back on and wanted me to check out the shred. And so I said, well, do you have any greens? And so I checked that out, and I was blown away. It was better than the product I was formulating. I couldn't source such quality.
So what you're referencing is the Isagenix greens.
Isagenix
the new mint ones that Dr. Plant had created a few years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what got me in. And then she said about the shred, saw what it was doing for her, tried it, jumped in. I felt fabulous. So
did you have any experience? So tell me I'll back up. Okay. Advocare, first company that you were with, they obviously are in the same space, a little bit different, but what was it about them that attracted you to that company?
So in the beginning, you know, I was looking for energy. I had a son who was a 3 varsity letter athlete that I wanted to put quality sports nutrition recovery in him. My husband was about 40 pounds overweight. So we got started. I got my energy back, lost my asthma, found recovery products for my son. He rocked sports, got a college scholarship, and my husband lost 32 pounds in 6 weeks. So at that time, it got us excited. And because I don't jump on every bandwagon, it has to be quality.
So it was a life experience, shared experience by your family based on results that attracted you to their business model. Before we get ahead of ourselves, even though I've stated it and we try to state it as much as possible, our disclaimer is simply, we don't cure, diagnose or prevent any diseases. What you hear tonight, or myself or Pamela speaking, is basically our own personal experience. On the income aspect, it's the same thing. There's no guarantees with income levels. It's dependent upon your background, your skill set, your ability to understand the business model, deploy it, demographics, etc. Again, it's like anything else in life. The more you put into it, the more likely, the better, the more you'll get out of it. And there are no guarantees. But that said, except for our 30-day money-back guarantee. But that said, I think what we all do, what we're attracted to is that you had a result with your previous company with Advocare that got you excited about the products. Now, I'll just want to skip forward. For those that do not know, Advocare, unfortunately, was a company that decided along the path that they no longer wanted to be in the direct sales industry. And overnight, they pretty much closed shop, right, Pamela?
They did. I had backed away a little bit before because I wanted less, and I not bad mouthing them. I love their products, but I wanted to be clean, organic, nothing artificial, no sugars. So that's where I was formulating my own product.
Okay, but things happen, and it's unfortunate. But I think you'll hear this if you're ever listening to Isagenix, Kathy Coover. You'll hear about her background, how she rose to the top of 3 different companies, and they changed their direction. She wasn't happy. She left, and it basically formed the basis for Kathy's vision, Jim Coover's vision in terms of what they wanted to create with Isagenix. And that was a no compromise company, but they wanted to basically build a network marketing community that did it the right way without any of the gimmicks and the garbage, and try to keep it as clean as possible. And that's where I'm super, super excited, because I think that from my background in business and what I've been able to see, I think where we stand today, we're in a very, very unique position in that literally everybody comes in as a customer. So fast forwarding to when it's Michelle that shared with you, obviously, shout out to her, because obviously you weren't an overnight success with Isagenix, and she probably asked you many times, indirectly correct, about take a look at this. Yeah. But she was persistent, so she stayed with you. But tell me, what was it finally that Michelle got you to take a look at outside of the greens? What did she say to you that prompted you to finally say, okay, I'll take a look?
Well, I used the greens for my clients all day on my next day, and it was phenomenal what I could see with the blood because of the oxygenation that happened quicker than any other product that I'd seen.
So can I ask you before you jump there, so people understand what you do? So you analyze individuals' blood based on.
So I do several things. I work on terrain, body balance, cellular balance, and blood balance. So the chiropractor, you guys know Zach Almy. I work with him. He says Pam balances the blood and the cells, and I balance the spine. If you're balanced and you give your body the right nutrition, there's nothing it can't heal from. So it's based on terrain science, which goes back to Pasteur, who was the germ theory, and his contemporary was Beauchamp, who said it's not the germ or the virus, it's the terrain. If you're balanced, the germ and the virus can't set up camp. And so the first step I do with a lot of people is I take a look at their blood, because the blood speaks and it tells a story. I can tell, how's your digestion? Is your gallbladder working? Is there stress in your life? There's a lot of things I can tell just by the live blood and dry layer. And that makes it believable for somebody. It's kind of a motivator for them to take the next step in their wellness. And so then I do a lot of geeky things like specific gravity of saliva and urine and pHs and a lot of things.
Okay.
On the
but that's
on that. No.
This gives you're validating through science what actually people are expressing in terms of how they feel and how they look. But Michelle obviously looked good, had good energy. You saw other patients you were using the products with. Did you quickly see a change around? I mean, what was it? Was it something that over a period of time that you said, something's going on here, I'd like to learn more about? How did you reach out to Michelle and decide to sign up?
Well, she gave me some greens because my formulated product was back ordered and I love them. And then she said, hey, some of the leaders are doing this eliminate, reset, shred protocol that's supposed to help you reset your metabolism, eliminate toxins, extra fat, and just reset everything. And it's been effective. Could you check it out to see if my digestion can handle it? And I'm like,
Hmm.
ding, ding, ding. After COVID year and moving, like I could use a shred, a eliminate, reset shred. So I thought I was helping Michelle, and I said, I'm jumping in with you. So I lost 8.5 pounds of the hardest to lose weight right around your little tummy there. Felt phenomenal, slept better than I had in years, and got excited. And I don't get excited that often. I do science. Like this
Right.
work, look at it in your blood. People are like, Pam's excited. What's she doing? And I just said, try it with me. There's a money back guarantee. It's like no risk. So that's kind of what happened. Vienna, who's one of my stars, she helped me with some of my testing, and she saw me excited. She jumped in, brought in a bunch of people with her. So the rest is kind of history. Some people that were clients that, because food is your medicine. I do some things
Hmm.
for digestion, but I would tell them, hey, I found this new product, this new protocol. You
Hmm.
can either pay me for coaching like you're doing, or use that money to buy this shred and try it out, because I'm kind of experimenting. So I've had a lot of results with people choosing that and getting phenomenal results.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was part of my technique. And then, of course, there's family members and people I run into. And I see Connie on the phone. She was laughing at me. She's been such a great mentor. She's like, don't get within 6 feet of Pamela, or you're going to be doing Isagenix. But, that is really part of my point is, passion about something.
Hmm.
You're not selling, you're just sharing your heart and your passion. And that really moves people. And I think I became passionate about it. I love helping people. I'm able to shift people into balance 3 times quicker with the shakes and Isagenix than on the other kind of dietary things where people had to work hard to make changes. When you're not feeling good and then you have to change your diet specific to your bioterrain, it's a lot of work. So I'm just grateful. It makes my life easier. It makes
So,
others happier.
are you
And
familiar with
there.
prior? Were you familiar with fasts or intermittent fasts in
Oh
the
yeah,
past, or detoxes? Okay, so you've
absolutely.
seen them,
Detox,
and some of them
right?
are quite harsh. I mean,
Yes.
you know, I've tried a couple of them, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" This is probably why they tell you can only do it once or twice a year, right? But
Yeah. That was one
what?
of the things I was so excited about, because I do teach 5 pillars of health: detox, digestion, balance, emotional health, and spiritual health. And so the
Okay,
detox is a foundational piece. And I was so excited about the cleanse days because of all the nutritional support for that detox, that makes fasting for even those who can't fast really pretty simple. I
make it
was
easy.
really excited.
Has this been one of the easiest fasts that you've done?
Absolutely. Yep. Feels like
Wonderful.
I'm cheating.
Well, no, obviously, I'm kind of throwing up softballs to you, but I mean, from our experience, we're lucky. I'm very, very lucky that this is the first network marketing company that I was kind of really exposed to on the health side, where, I was very, very skeptical, but I said, I'll give it 30 days. And that was my doctor who pretty much said, you need to stay on this product based upon your blood and your results. You either go on meds or you stay on the program. I suggest you stay with it. And that was 17 years ago. But I'll tell you though, back in the early days, not only it tasted awful, it was like castor oil. People will tell you it was hard to choke down. But we did it for results. It also was challenging because that was a detox back when we didn't understand really what we had. The beauty of it is John Anderson's like you. He pretty much, our formulator, and originally who created this, pretty much said, food's thy medicine. And he said, if you give your body the right nutrition that God intended it to have, your body's the miracle. Your body will heal itself. It isn't Isagenix. It's providing your body with the right nutrients. And he said, I have the right mixture. Here's what it is. The amazing thing is it worked, but it was a challenge to get to that detox, and partly because we didn't understand. We literally how I did it, and I was lucky. I had Peter Greenlaw. For a lot of people on this call know who Peter is. he was my coach. And so he's good friends with John Anderson. So how do we do this? We jumped right into the fast. So I went out to my favorite Italian restaurant in Chicago, Tapas Gigio, and had a plate, about this large, thinking that I'm not going to eat for 2 days, 2.5 days. So I'm going to bring it all in. And obviously that made my detox that much more challenging. I mean, I was miserable initially. But the beauty with ER Shred, I got to give Sean and Crystal creds here, is that Sean had called me up a year ago, and we were talking about how can we salvage the original core system, but make it duplicatable, easy to do, but honor John Anderson's legacy. And we wanted to bring it back because here the company had grown so large, we kind of lost our way as far as directing people to do a detox or to basically keep it simple and easy. And it was this combination, which you are well aware of, through their elimination process, and then incubating the shakes, which was new to him, with the bone broth. And it was like, magic. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable what happened to Sean and Crystal. I was a skeptic because of the red meat, but as soon as I did the new version of ER Shred, Pamela, this is the part that's exciting to talk to you. I thought I was in wonderful shape and thought I felt good, but this took me to a whole nother level. And it was literally more of not just sleep, but it was my mindset. It was my happiness. It was my mental clarity. It was my memory. All of that came back. It's like I've literally Benjamin Buttoned. I feel like I'm 30, 40 years younger than I was before,
right.
Which made me become aware of, we really don't understand how good you could feel until you actually experience it.
Right.
So here I thought I felt great, but now I would look back on it and say I'm a 20 out of a 20, whereas before I was probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. But so you come into Isagenix, you do the program, you lose the 8 pounds, you probably saw a loss of inflammation, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I because I'm the wellness coach,
Okay.
I'm careful
Right.
about that. I really didn't have a lot of inflammation. I'm pretty in touch with my food culprits.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I do actually have an inflammation story. This last weekend, my daughter decides she's going to train for a half marathon, and I crave time with my daughter, families and children and busyness. So she's like, I'm going for a 6-mile run, Mom. Will you come with me? And I'm like, I gave up running I'm almost 60, believe it or not. I can't believe it. I still feel 20, but that is the truth. I gave up running about 5 years ago because my joints after running would bother me, not on a regular basis. So I told her I would give it a couple miles because I probably could do it from a heart standpoint, but I didn't want my body to hurt. And I had no issues in my joints at all. I'm going to run a half marathon with my daughter. The only issue I had was my calf because I didn't stretch, silly me. But I'm very excited, actually. So I don't have the usual inflammation story, but I do have a youthful aging story where I'm now able to go on longer runs again. And I'm very excited about that.
Well, can you just quickly tell the audience, I'm sure people are aware of it, but inflammation obviously can come in the form of swelling, joint issues, right? Can be a physical, but it's also from a physical aspect. Inflammation is your body's response to something that could be an allergen. It could be obviously a bruise, sprain. There's something going on in the body where your body's defense mechanism starts an inflammation response, right? Does the same thing happen though when someone has poor digestion? Does that cause an inflammatory response?
Yes, it does. Well, if they're eating food culprits, but it creates an imbalance, and our body's always trying to balance. I'll give you just a tiny bit of nerdy science. But your blood pH has to be between 7.2 and 7.4 or you die. That's a very narrow range. So your cells are always dumping things into your blood to keep you alive. And so you're kind of on a teeter-totter. So the more imbalanced you are, the more you're on a teeter-totter, your body can't heal and restore. It's like if you were trying to work on a teeter-totter. So that's why balance is so key. And when you're eating the right things and your digestion is working, it's a lot easier for your body to be balanced and inflammation to go down. So I did see before Isagenix, when people would do my protocol, inflammation go down. But I will say with Isagenix, it's a lot quicker. And a lot of times if couples would come to me, they would have opposite imbalances. And they would have to eat completely different diets, which was really hard. And the shake is the first thing I've found that is down the line, can be used on both sides of the equation. And I've just been blown away by the shake. And not being non-compliant, everybody's story is very different, but I think Mary just joined the call. She's my newest. She got within 6 feet of me. She came down. My brother's been visiting from France, and they both have phenomenal Isagenix stories. I could go into all of their stories, talk about inflammation, blood pressure, weight. On my sister-in-law, my brother didn't have weight issues, but so Mary came down to visit us in Florida last week and wanted me to do all my geeky stuff. And her blood sugar was almost 400. She had no idea she had issues with that, and I just about freaked out. So I said, let's incubate these shakes. She did that for 5 days with hydrate, and her sugars are so different just from that. And we've got other things we're going to do, but that blew me away from the standpoint of safe for it, because we incubate them. It's my understanding, Bob, and I'm going to thank you for introducing me to Peter. I can't wait to chat more with him. But it's my understanding that some of those carbs are utilized to break down the proteins into building blocks. And so you're getting very bioavailable protein. And, Mary was telling me that's probably the first time, her pancreas and organs have gotten nutrition in forever. She's feeling like $1,000,000. And she was just doing that pre-shred. So she's got all her shred arriving. She was doing digestive stuff and some shakes and hydrate. And then in about a week, she'll start her actual shred. And she's already been shredding and balancing. So I just love everything I discover about Isagenix. I get more excited about. I have not had a downside yet. And I love the shred culture. It's a great kickoff because it's a quick way to do what used to take me a couple months with people to eliminate, the culprits and get that inflammation out of your body. And then you can go forward. And so I love it. I love that it's a quick way to do that. And I think Annie's here with us today from Canada. And our mutual friend is a doctor friend of mine, Dr. Chandra, who has been referring many of her patients to me now. So you'll be hearing more of her stories. And Annie's a personal friend of hers. And she was telling us before the call started a little bit of what's been going on with her, but kind of a pound a day. Yay, Annie. And she's bringing in Canada with her. So that's just what we see over and over again. And I love the other things that I've discovered, the sports line. I'm loving that, everything I've discovered. But the shred is a great kickoff. I love it.
So it's interesting. I felt 17 years ago when I saw heard John Anderson's story and how he put this together. I was like, wow, this whole thing is divinely inspired, because you couldn't explain it. And then when people started having results and that you can't even explain, you're like, okay, this is almost miraculous. This is amazing how your body's coming into balance and it's healing itself. When I look at ER shred, it's very, very interesting, because a lot of the things that happen from incubating the shakes to the bone broth that we've introduced on cleanse days and the elimination aspect, that's all occurred just in the last 5 years. So it first started with incubating the shakes and Peter running into Dr. Ruggiero and his science. But in short, what we're doing after it incubates, we're drinking pretty much amino acids, which is what the critical aspect. Your body doesn't need the protein, it needs the amino acids that are from the protein. Is that correct?
Right.
So it's all about the amino acid absorption. So that's what I think is very fascinating, because I always knew that from John Anderson that, hey, it's 99.5% lactose free, and we add lactase into the shake, which is an enzyme, so that people who are lactose intolerant shouldn't have an issue. What we've learned, though, with incubating the shakes, that people who still had digestive issues to either potentially whey protein, or maybe it was the amount of protein or how it was breaking down in their body, for whatever reason, everybody across the board seems to be doing really, really well with incubating the shakes. But when you combine it with the detox and then making the cleanse days easy with the bone broth, it's almost like the perfect storm in terms of it's the perfect system that allows us to have success.
Can I add something onto that real quick?
Yes.
Because I love the Isoline Pro shakes, but I will say I had one good friend. You guys have heard her on some of the other calls, Renee Renault, who got within 6 feet of me because I visited her in Nashville. And she did her first shred and was petrified of the whey because she's had a dairy allergy her whole life. Did the plant-based, had great results. And then I talked her into trying the whey, and she's able to do those with no problem.
Does she have an opinion between the plant-based? I mean, I think the plant-based shakes that we have are phenomenal. The biggest thing that I understand from the doctors is that it's close, but it's not quite the same you're not getting the same level of amino acids.
Well, the Isoline Pro has the enzymes, which the plant-based doesn't, and it has more protein. So instead of 24 grams, you're getting 36, which, if you're wanting to lean up, but I mean, we're talking, she's down 20 some pounds and feeling great, but it's just sticking to it. So if someone's afraid of it, don't discourage them, but encourage them to try. As their body gets more balanced, they're able to tolerate that.
Have you had any objections with regarding people going to say, I'm eating meat for a week? I mean, 7 meals of meat. I mean, do you have people wondering about that? I mean, how do you handle that objection?
There are a few because, Boulder has their thing. So I just say this is our protocol. I was, as you heard my story, right? When I was in South Africa and I talked like this, I was terrified of meat because of what I'd experienced. So I had to overcome those things myself. And in fact, serendipitously, maybe right before I started listening to all the Isagenix stuff on the shred, I had listened to a cancer symposium, and I had kind of been rocked with my thinking by a gentleman who had cured himself completely of stage 3 colon cancer just eating grass-fed beef. That made me dig in the science a lot. Now, I do think it's important to be grass-fed, because if it's not grass-fed, grass-finished, you're getting bad fats. It changes the fat to be carcinogenic. But the grass-fed, that kind of blew me away, because if you had told me colon cancer, I don't know. So it made me more open, and people can choose. I always give people the options. This is good, better, best. By all means, get the shakes in your body, and the old way of doing it worked really well for people. So there's lots of ways to do it. Good, better, best, your choice.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for sharing all the science. I'm a science geek. I love this stuff, but we're here as a business call, but here it goes hand in hand. So what I wanted to point out to everybody, and you can see it in your passion and your excitement, is that the science validates what you're feeling inside. Yeah. And that gets you excited because you're also being able to see it with certainty what's happening in other people.
Right.
And when you're sharing your story, and this is for everybody in the audience, when people are looking at Pamela and wanting to know, okay, do I want to do this or not? Or if it's Peter Greenlaw, or if it's any of us, Connie, Don Drury, anybody that's on this call this evening, they're buying you. But they're buying your posture, they're buying your energy, they're buying your certainty. So what I was trying to explain to people is that when you're sharing your story, the beauty of it is you own it. And so if it's your story, there's nobody that can move you and tell you that you're wrong. I mean, there's no denying it, right? And you are going to be steadfast in your opinion. I lost X, this happened to me, my sleep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You automatically have certainty. So when you're sharing your story, where passion comes from is the confidence in what the product has done for you, what it's done for others. But you need to have certainty, confidence. You have to have that posture. But with that comes passion. And what I love about the business, and this is it kind of gets back into science geeky stuff, but when our body comes back into balance, is it agreeable to you, Pamela, to suggest that when your body blood chemistry is in balance, does your body come into hormonal balance if your body's in balance with your digestion, your blood, et cetera?
Yeah, when your body's balanced, it can do what it's made to do, which is to heal.
Perfect. So when our hormones are in balance, like this is how I'm with ER Shred, maybe it's the better quality fat. It could be the grass-fed meat. It's maybe getting rid of some of the garbage carbs or culprits. I don't know. I just feel so good. I don't want it to end. but I can tell my hormones, everything's better in balance, and I feel better, sleep better, have more energy, etc. But when I'm happier and excited and I'm sharing my story, I'm more magnetic, I'm vibrating, I'm more I'm excited, I'm more passionate. People are like, wow, what are you doing? But with that though, here's the other hormone response you get is that when you have helped, how many people have you helped with this program so far, becoming an executive? How many people have you enrolled?
Gosh, I don't know how many I personally enrolled because I helped so many of my team enroll, but I've got
Okay,
130 people in my downline so far. So.
fantastic. That's wonderful. So what gets you more excited? Obviously, you lost your 8 pounds and you lost inches and so on and better sleep. What happens when you see success in your clients?
It fires me up because that's what I want to do. I want to help others to feel good, and that's what they come to me for. So it just layers the passion, it reinforces everything. And, I would like to say, encourage people to share from your heart what you're seeing and feeling while you're on the journey. A lot of people come to these, and I think I did the first time around with the other company, very cautious to share, afraid to share, but you really have nothing to lose sharing what you're excited about. And there's a money back guarantee, and passion sells, and it massive action kind of solves everything. And when you get momentum and all those stories at the same time, it's almost irresistible.
Exactly.
Try it. Yeah.
So if you look at a big picture aspect of it, so if I heal first of all, we're focused on the client. So we want everybody to get the very, very best result. And that's why Shred with Jesse and Sean and everybody, we're 1000% focused on getting you your best result. We know that when you get your best result, we bring you into balance. You're a happier, more energized, excited person. We know for a fact people will notice. Then it's up to us leaders to be able to kind of prompt you a little bit to say, hey, has anybody noticed? Has anybody asked you what you're doing? And then, you could share, this is where we're at tonight. If you share your results, pay it forward to others, you can get your products paid for, which then who wouldn't do this to feel this good and it was free, right? And it can build from there. But one of the best things that I learned, and this is from my past experience being a stockbroker, a money manager. There was an old joke with that industry in that when it's your time to pass away, you hope you pass away during a bull market because you want people to come to your funeral, right? But if you're in the midst of a recession or a bear market where the market's way down, obviously your clients hate you, they're angry, they're frustrated, whatever. You're no one's best friend. So one thing that I recognized about my industry was that it was based on performance. And as long as I made my clients money, they were happy with me. But I got some gratitude, but at the same time, I can't control what happens in the world. And there are events that occur, and there are going to be cycles, and there's going to be recessions and so on. But it was very stressful. There's nothing worse than wanting to make money for a client, but then having everything in the world go against you, right? But when I found with Isagenix, all by me sharing, pointing you in the right direction, pointing you to the tools, to the community, to our group, getting people great results, I got so much gratitude for just sharing my story. That's the part that I would say would light me up because it would only excite me. There's not a person in the world that doesn't like to be complimented or say, gee, Pam, if it wasn't for you, thank you so much for introducing me to this program. I owe you. This has really rocked my world. And all that does is it's like, as Sean would say, ringing the bell. You feel good. And what do? You run out and you do it again because your body wants to feel good. You organically are going to go out and you're going to share it more because you want more of the same. Just as we know for a fact that if you do this program properly and you get rid of the culprits, we're telling you it's time for you to experiment. We say go slow, right? Bring them in one at a time. But ultimately, people are going to be people and things happen and they're going to go out and they're going to have deep dish pizza or it's going to be a birthday party or whatever it might be. But we know for a fact they're going to feel miserable. But it's going to be their experiential learning process of, oh shit, I can't believe I just put that in my body and I feel miserable. I don't think I'm going to do that again. Now, they're not doing it because of compliance. We told them not to. We kind of allowed them to venture out and, see what works for you. Let's see what happens. And the default is that people will do more of the things that make them feel good. In the same aspect with our business, we will go out and we'll share more. Like you're on fire right now. You've got so much momentum. I'm assuming you wake up in the morning, you're probably wondering, who can you talk to today? As Connie said, they'll get in within 6 feet of you. So can I ask you this? You've got an amazing story. Let's say I'm not in Isagenix, you get introduced to me and I fall within that 6 foot perimeter of you, and you say, Bob, have you heard of, how do you share, how would you bring me into the story? How do you share?
Well, I think that it's not about sales. It's about listening,
Right?
and it's about caring. So I would start with some questions. How are you, Bob? How do you feel every day? And then you inevitably come around, how are you? What are you doing? And I would tell you how excited I am and what I've seen. And I would tailor make that to add a story that would reinforce what I'm trying to help you with. And then I would put a hook of, why don't you try it? It's a money back guarantee. It sounds like say you told me you were tired, you weren't sleeping, you could, something like that. And you had some extra weight. I would tell you a story, maybe mine, maybe Roy's, maybe D's or somebody's. And then I would say, it's a money back guarantee for you to try it. Why not?
But the most important thing you said there is you listened to the person that you're talking to and you looked for cues. You knew through just normal conversation.
Is talking and they say, I'm not a salesperson. Well, if you say that, you're the perfect person for this, because I, of all people, am not a salesperson, but I care about people. I listen. I care deeply about people, and I want to help them find solutions, just like I would want them to help me find solutions. And so if people know that about you, they'll trust you. Do you want me to give my little PAM acronym now, Bob?
Sure thing. So first, what you've developed now, did you have the PAM acronym in your previous company, or did you bring this along?
No, I just used this with my team, and I thought it would be kind of fun to share today, because I know I have some of my people on, and
Fantastic.
really, I don't want anyone to look at me and say, oh, you're a health professional. People come to you, for that reason, because I didn't know everything about Isagenix when I started. I just had a story and I got excited, just like any of you can have a story and get excited. And I didn't know all the details yet. And there's choices. You can sit and study everything, which I, in my previous company, had a PhD that followed me everywhere, and he had volumes of notes and he never sold a thing. Or you can be excited and get someone on the phone to help you. And so I just have to say, I did not do this on my own. Bonnie calls me ignorance on fire. So, and Connie was there to help me. And I just reached and I learned as I went. I'm like, hey guys, I'm excited. I can't believe that I would lose 8.5 pounds, go through the holidays and not gain it back and sleep better. And you just told me you're tired. Could you do me a favor? I'm still learning. Could I get you on the phone with Connie? Because I'd love to hear what she would say to you, because I would learn by that way. I would just encourage you to jump in. And so I'm going to say the PAM acronym. If Pam can do it, anyone can do it. Okay? And here's the thing. P is for passion. Be passionate, believe in what you're talking about, and be passionate about helping people, and it'll come out. Passion is more important than knowledge. Let your passion lead you, and find the knowledge on the way, getting people on the phone. And then A is for authentic action. You can have every dream in the world, and if you don't stretch yourself out of your comfort zone to pick up that phone or to call someone or to reconnect with someone, nothing's going to happen. But let it be authentic action. You're not trying to put on a show. Be you. Don't be that salesperson. Be you. Have authentic action, caring for people. And then the M is your motive's going to show. So always work on yourself. Always be sincere, be a leader, be a lifelong learner. Let love be your motivation, and look for the best for that person, not what's best for you. And if you help other people get what they want, you'll be taken care of. So if Pam can do it, anybody can do it. And I hope that's something you can take away, and just really be empowered that you don't have to know everything. Just, this is a great company and a great opportunity, and share it with passion. And we're here to help. And this culture is so phenomenal. I love the shred culture. And Bob, you've been in it, hanging there, doing so many things for us, and all of you leaders. Just grateful, because I have so many people jump in, and I might be busy, and they can jump in and ask a question right now. Like, I'm really
Mhm.
struggling on the cleanse day. What can I do? Or, where do I get my meat? And it's just a great built-in support team that makes our jobs a lot easier too. And support is a key to success. So the culture is fabulous. Thank you so
It's
much. Thank you for
well, as
letting me
no,
share.
but it's a perfect storm. I mean, as Jesse points out, as Sean has spoken about, um, we know we have the system. We've got the science that supports it. I know when you talk with Peter, Peter's going to tell you all the science, and I will tell him every single day. Nobody buys the science. They care two hoots about it. It's exciting to hear because I look at it this way as I'm a layperson standing back and I'm a numbers guy, but I'm thinking, if there's a health professional that's doing this and they're excited about it, maybe there's something. Why are they doing this? So there's two things here. One, I do want to, obviously, we're telling people it isn't the science. The science gives you the certainty and the conviction that what you're doing is the right thing. And if you need that, like I joke, Sean calls me up. Sean always looked good. So, I mean, for him to call up and say, oh my God, look at me, I'm even more shredded. And I'm like, going, dude, you're in the gym 3 hours a day. Don't talk to me. But the funny thing is that I looked at my own body and I thought, okay, I'm not in the gym. I'm not working out because of the pandemic that we were in and everything is closed. I had been cleansing my little tush off this last year. So I was doing the program. I'm eating right. I'm doing everything right. But here I was carrying that additional bloat and I was stuck at 205. I would go 205 back up to 210, 215, down to 205. And that was me for over a decade. And I had poor digestion. I didn't know it. I just thought it was me. I thought it was normal. But this shred totally turned my world around where I'm laughing. I mean, I was just talking to somebody today. I got on the scale this morning. I'm 186. I'm still losing weight, but I'm eating as much as I want. And this is the lightest I've been since high school. And the best thing about it is that it's not so much vanity in terms of how I look. Well, I am wearing a shirt that I haven't been able to wear in years because it fits. But the most important thing for me is how I feel. And I'm going to be 60 this year. And that's the whole thing. I want to feel good. I want to be active. And like you, Pam, I was like, I've got so many injuries from my old sports days that I'm thinking there's no way in God's earth that I would ever go running again. But I feel so good in my body and my joints that I literally feel like a kid again. You want to just go out and run. And I'm not going to say I'm going to run a marathon, but we'll see. But I mean, I feel like Jesse. I feel like you got to go out and you got to challenge yourself. So back to this, the science doesn't sell. It's your passion. It's you. It's Pam. It's your energy. It's your excitement. You have an amazing story. You've learned quickly to do what we refer to as a three-way call or a three-way text, but a higher authority. In other words, you piqued interest and you passed it off and you got Connie involved, or you got Bonnie involved, or maybe it's Sean or me, and you leveraged the team. And then finally, I think the most important part of this is people want a sense of belonging, and we've created an amazing community. And that is really kind of what, when you think of what network marketing or what the companies do at Celebration or Isagenix, when they get back and we have these live events, people come to the live events just for the energy and the excitement and the sense of belonging to something. And that's where I get excited. I'm thinking, wow, when you get all of us shredders in the same room, I mean, the energy is going to be palpable. I mean, we're going to blow the roof off the place. But it's the community that we've created that is so critical, because people, you want to belong to something. You want to have a purpose-driven life. So with you being a health professional, having a full-time income, but being passionate about this, what is your why and what's motivating you? What is your vision as far as your business? I mean, what is driving you? There's got to be something there other than just helping people.
Well, that's a good point. I was a caregiver for a lot of years. And so, yes, I have my own practice, but my career working for the state, I had to end right before my nice retirement because I was caregiving both parents. My mom was full disability. My dad was dementia. And so I gave that up to honor my parents. And I feel like God has given me this as an opportunity to regain life on my terms in my retirement. Because I actually had been stepping back from some of my client work to do some writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I actually had the time to do this. I was writing about some of these things. And so I'm looking forward to being able to be very picky about the clients I work with, coach from anywhere, and write in the Mediterranean or wherever, kind of have life on my terms in my retirement and be able to spoil my adorable grandbabies.
That's awesome. That is so wonderful. Um, I mean, I always wondered because I was that person in the back of the room with my arms folded. Initially, it was my skepticism about the product, but then unfortunately, it was my viewpoint that I was smarter than everybody in the room as it relates to business. And I'm like, who's this Jimmy the Butcher guy telling me the power of two? This is ridiculous, right? Well, who am I? I mean, Jimmy Smith, again, number one income earner in our company. He's created $60 million plus for his family because at the age of 74, he said yes and left another company. I mean, that in itself is an amazing story, but it's not necessarily the money that drives you. But what I just want to end with is this, is that what you just touched on, and that is you're developing through choice a life on your terms and a retirement on your terms. And what I want to tell everybody is that we're told to work 40 hours a week for 40 years and then you retire and voila. Well, I can tell you from experience that unless you're the top half of 1% and you've got 10, $20 million in the bank, you can't retire and just live off your income because you might have another 20 years, 25 years to live. And it's just not, you're just not going to make it. Because here's one thing that will happen to all of you. It doesn't matter at what level you are in your economic stature, in other words, your standard of living, but there's not a person on this call that's going to accept a less than standard of living going into retirement. They're not going to be happy. They're going to feel unhappy. They're going to feel miserable. Well, wait a minute. I have to have the second, whatever it might be. So when I look at people planning for retirement, very, very few people have it. 99% of us are out there and we have debt. We've got mortgage debt, credit card debt. We got debt up the yazoo, helping our kids with student loans, whatever. The biggest issue is this. If you ever want to know how much money you need to retire, I mean, come up with a sum. Maybe it's $50,000 a year. So if I was to take $50,000 a year, I would just ask the audience, what do you think is a safe and reasonable return that you could make on your investments every year? And I would say that's going to be between 7 and 10%. Anything above that, you're taking on risk. So the number is simply this. You could do 100,000 a year, you could do 75,000 a year, do 50,000 a year, but divide it by that percentage point. So if I was going to do like a riskless return, I used to do this when the 30-year treasury was at 3%. You take 50,000, divide it by 3%. You have to have 2.3 million in the bank just to be able to generate 50,000 a year at 3% interest rate. And not many people have 2.3 million in the bank. But what we do have is we have a company that if we pay it forward, you can easily generate 25, 50,000 or more a year because there's a lot of us that have already done it. And that's when you're saying, what is your business worth? I mean, I can't even put a number on it. And the reason is this, when you typically go into a company or a business, you have a cost, upfront cost. You know, how much did it cost me to buy my business? What was my investment on the front end and how much money did I make off of that investment? It's called a return on investment. Your investment with this, if you choose to do it, is $29. That's your investment. I would argue that taking the product, you're just replacing food. So that basically is taking grocery money from one hand to the left hand because you're basically feeding yourself nutrition. But that said, there is not another thing that I've ever seen in my lifetime that would allow you to make this potential income with such little investment. It requires three things. It's belief, it's passion, and it's the willingness to pay it forward, to talk to other people. And you touched, Pamela, you touched on all three tonight. And it's no wonder that you've already hit executive. And so tell me real quickly for the group, you hit executive, you got all the bonuses, right?
I did. And that is so exciting. Really, I'm blown away by the compensation plan because I was fortunate or unfortunate to have done another company. And then I briefly tried Vima, which was a binary. So my introduction into binary, both of those had issues. And so now I'm here. And I believe Kathy got on the phone with me and said, you know, we are the company that's going to keep the promise of network marketing and be the best product and the best pay structure. And honestly, I've looked at many, many, many. And I can't believe how simple this pay structure is. They have blessed us so much. If I could do it with all the craziness going on in my life these last few months, again, that's where anybody can do it. They are so generous in the bonuses. So yeah, I guess I'm supposed to have made 3,100 in bonuses, but by the time I get my bonus check from hitting executive, since I've been in, I will have made $8,000, which I would, if you had told me that in the beginning, I would have just, I think it took me a couple of years to make that in the other company. And then of course I went on from there, but it's so nice that they give you that up front. And then when I've got there, then I find out that, oh, if I just keep that, I get an extra $750 a month on top of everything else. So I just, as blessed as I am with each product I discover, I'm equally blessed with the compensation plan and the generosity of the Cougars.
One of the things that I see it's consistent with all the top leaders that I've met in this company is that it doesn't matter if it's Jimmy Smith, if it's Peter Greenlaw, if it's Tony Randy Escobar, if it's Sean or Crystal, they lead with their heart. They're servant leaders, and they care about other people, and they're really, really good about elevating and celebrating other people's success. But that said, though, it's mind-blowing. If the real world really understood what's possible, we would be having millions of people begging to get into this company. And when I look at this, and this is the funny thing, I knew Peter through another friend, but Peter basically was good friends with John Anderson at that time, because Peter believed that, hey, I had an amazing story. And John said, I want you to go out and tell the world. And from Peter's view, he thinks that John Anderson told him to go out and tell the world and nobody else. And he bought into it. That's Peter. But Peter took it upon himself and said, that's it. I'm going to go out. I'm on a mission. I'm going to tell the world. Well, when he was into it about 9 months in, he was 9 months in, and we didn't have the bonus structure 17 years ago the way they have today. You just had a $10 PIB. That was it. So when I asked Peter, he had been working his tail off, and he had a construction. He sold high-end kitchen cabinets, is what his business was. But I was asking him, where are you at with this company? How much money are you making? He said, well, I'm about $500 a month. I about fell out of my chair, and I have said this to many people. He wanted to call me, Bob, when can I call you? I can have your utmost attention. I don't want any distractions, whatever. When can I call you? And I go, man, I'm busy. As soon as I wake up, I'm busy. He said, well, give me a time. And I said, 6 a.m. I go, I've got 15 minutes at 6 a.m. We can talk. And the thing is that he called me every day at 6 a.m. and he lived in Denver. He was getting up at 5 in the morning to just give me a call to make sure I was making my shake right. But my point being, he was making $500 a month. Now, had I had the foresight and understanding when Peter said, don't you see it, buddy? We're going to change the world. This is it. Come on, you got to do this with me. This is going to be unbelievable. I was like, you're working your tail off and you're making $500 a month. I looked at that business model, 300, 600 and whatever. I think I need to have thousands of people for this thing to work. I went, no, thanks. Good for you, Peter. I'm going to send you a lot of people because I really love what you've done for me and my family. So I'm going to refer a bunch of people to you, but I don't want anything to do with this business. Now, 17 years later, I've done really well with it, but I pale in comparison to what Peter's done. I'm lucky enough to be in the millionaire group, meaning cumulatively I've made $1 million in Isagenix. But Peter's outdone me by 26-fold. And he did it in a period of 18 years. But when you talk to him, Pam, he won't bring up anything about the money, but he'll talk about the science and how he's changed lives and he's impacted the world and what his mission in life is. That's what his purpose is. And that's what I love about ER Shred, is that we're about community and we're about elevating others, but we're not driven by the money. But this is it for us people who are approaching 60. Don't lose hope. This can be your golden egg. This could literally be it, because that's how I feel. I'm confident going forward that if I just do what Pam's doing, I know that I'm going to be able to support myself and my family and live life on my terms. And anybody can do it, right, Pam?
That's right. If Pam can do it, anyone can do it.
You're amazing. I do want to do this later on. It'll be fun. I know Jesse says this, but obviously we're super, super excited. I think you're the first crystal executive that I'm aware of that came out of as an ER shredder, which is really, really amazing. And the good news is that we want to replicate you. We want to have many, many Pams that are having your level of success. And number one is I guess, don't be shy, right? Tell your story and don't let people get within 6 feet of you, right?
I guess.
Is there anything else that you'd like to finish with? I am so excited to have you.
I'm so honored to be asked to share, and so grateful to have a story to share. So grateful for Michelle sticking in there, sharing with me. I would just encourage you to share the good news. You don't know who's out there that really needs to feel better, that needs to be able to run with their daughter, that needs to have a retirement income. So don't be shy to share and reach out to us. We're here to help.
Pamela, thank you so much. And everyone joining us this evening, this was a fun call. And I'm looking forward to hearing your success going forward. And we're so honored to have you part of our community. And you've already given so much. And you've brought us Dr. Elmy and so many other professionals that help us because it validates what we're doing. For those people that are uncertain and not sure, why am I doing this? That's another asset that I love about what you bring to our community is you bring the conviction, you bring the certainty through the science. So thank you, Pam. And thank you, everybody. We're top of the hour. This has been fun. And I look forward to the recording. Good night, everybody.